If you've been living with chronic illness symptoms and you're tired of feeling like it's stolen your power, then this video is for you. After 7 years of being trapped in victimhood by degenerative autoimmune disease and becoming disabled, I discovered the deeper meaning of chronic illness and why it's actually the key to unlocking your true self, your superpowers, and becoming whole. In this deep conversation led by Samantha Rose Tarot, I share my story and the spiritual truths about healing that I wish I knew from the beginning. To introduce myself, I am Sade. I am a health coach. I am a somatic healer and DJ. My experience has been really dramatic, and really dark and really intense. And for me, like the only way that I was able to come through it has been that sense of this has to have meaning, and I need to be able to help others and create like a service or a purpose from this experience that I've had. I like to use the terminology like your body is the gates to heaven, and I help you to find your key. I'm not here to tell anybody how to do things, but I'm here because I have found really, really valuable ways to discover how to unlock your own power and your own wisdom.
Tell us a little bit about the beginning of your journey that led you to the healing path that you're on now.
Yeah. So from the very beginning, basically, of course, it starts with my upbringing. I was raised like all holistically. I never went to like Western medicine doctors. And my mom was also very witchy. Like she's not as witchy anymore, but it was a very witchy home life that I had. So like metaphysics and the occult and spirituality and magic, right? Like Harry Potter, hello. Magic was so important to me, but I also was always interested in like health and biology. So it was a science meets spirituality kind of viewpoint or perspective that I have always had. And and I've always been really interested in like nutrition and wellness and all of that stuff. And so when I was 24, this was in I think 2017, I started experiencing at first I had no idea what was going on, but I was having symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, which is an inflammatory degenerative autoimmune disease that attacks the joints. When I started experiencing symptoms, at first, I was in denial and I was afraid to go to the doctor, and I didn't know how to go to the doctor because I was like, oh, I could just take apple cider vinegar and garlic for this, right? Um, but then when I did finally a year later, after I was already having extreme difficulties like walking and stuff, I went to a rheumatologist and I was faced with a huge life decision because they wanted me to go on a pretty gnarly pharmaceutical immunosuppressant that would compromise my like organs and also compromise my ability to conceive and conceive children. And so coming from my core beliefs and values of I believe that the body can heal itself and that the body is infinitely wise and divine. It just has to be given the proper tools and the proper environment in order to do so. So that was a huge moment where I had to take this leap of faith of sticking to my morals and values around that, and not choosing the easy route. I will say, like, full transparency, I'm not the like kind of like no regrets kind of girl. Like truly, I'm like, wow, things could have been a lot different if I had gone the other way. Um, because I don't think I was really aware of what I was dealing with or what I was coming up against. Yeah, so basically that turned into this journey of, first I used to be a professional dancer. And so it went from like dancer to, okay, I can't dance and perform. Now I'm going to just start DJing, and then DJing and all of that stopped. And then I had to drop out of cosmetology school. Like there was this this kind of funneling of me going from that life that I had into isolation, being at home, and dedicating my life to researching and experimenting for the way to heal. It took several years of that experimentation and that research um, before I was able to, and I did eventually then become like wheelchair bound entirely, like no longer able to stand up or walk. But I did come to the space of becoming a health coach and starting my business, which is called Grace Alchemy Wellness. Because as I said, in order to come to terms with the experience that I was having, I needed to be able to create a purpose.
So when, during all of this, when did you kind of go into a more spiritual sense of like, okay, this experience is actually messages from my soul right now? Like, I'm kind of the same. We have a saying in the garden, like 1 foot in spirit, 1 foot on earth, right? So I'm very much like, and they know this, like, take your medicine, girly pop. They know. But I also think that there can be spiritual resonance to what's happening, right? So when did that kind of come up for you, and how did you reframe the experience into a spiritual one?
I think in a lot of ways there wasn't necessarily a moment because I've not really ever had like a separation between the two of like, matter and spirit. Um, but I will say that like the idea about the chronic illness being like a deeper message from the soul, um, I began to start to see that like illness calls us into going deeper into ourselves, right? Like we go into this state of isolation. It's a very like shamanic and very spiritual experience to take that break and to turn away and to turn inwards. And I still am basically in like a very like hermetic monkhood type of lifestyle. But as I started to experience that isolation, um, the more time I spent with myself, the more I started to witness all of these like programs and masks and like tendencies that I had adopted to fit into society and to like people please, all the fawning, all of that started to go away. And I was even able to then recognize and go into discovering like my neurodivergence and being on the autism spectrum because I was so high masking that I never really knew even like what my preferences were, like what my style was. I was always adopting and adapting to my environment and not to my truth. I have started to be able to build this like loving relationship with myself where before didn't have self-love. I didn't have confidence. I had so much self like criticism. Um, and it's because I wasn't actually being myself. That was the problem. And then it took going into the stillness and going within and separating myself out from society in order to be able to find myself. Now, that might not necessarily be the only way, but there's something to be said about that kind of like journeying inwards and really honoring the fact that when we're ill, mentally or physically, that's always what the body like naturally primally has a tendency to do is to separate and to go into itself. And that's where you truly can find that like unity. And it makes it such a big difference when you do go back out into the world again as well.
I want to tell you how powerful that was just then.
Oh, thanks.
It was so impactful. Oh my God. I personally resonate with that so hard, but I think the difference of what you've done is you've gone through it, you're still going through it. It's not something that you can separate, right? But also your choice to then take it and help other people and connect with others. Incredible. And I think it's so healthy. It's such a healthy option because my mom was chronically ill. She passed away from a chronic illness, and the isolation was a weight that she could never come out of. So I feel like there are times where hermiting is so healthy. And then there is a call, there is a moment where you're like, am I going to reconnect? Am I going to have this community now and share myself? It's a bravery. It's a bravery.
Where the name Grace Alchemy comes from, is like the alchemy part is taking that, like that darkness and that lead and turning it into gold, right? Like that pain, and giving it a transmutation into something that is like a gift or a power, right? And I chose to add grace to it because there's so many ways that like alchemical process can be experienced and handled. But what just really struck me was that idea of grace, and not try to be like really strong about it, or not try to be like spiritual bypassing, like just allow it, and to just be graceful, and let it be beautiful, and let it be ugly, and let it be wretched, and let it be all of the facets that come with the experience, and always try to let that like compass pointing towards it. Just be as graceful as you can with this.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. You're gonna make me cry just because it's like
Oh.
so resonant. Okay. So as I'm crying, because I think that is so needed. I think the Grace Alchemy, the way you connect with people, your services, your perspective is so needed in the community.
Thank you so much.
Especially in a community that, there is a lot of girl bossing, and like because you have people that blow up and they have amazing programs, but there's this internal grind to be super strong, to be super confident, to be all knowing. And I think having grace and going back to this human experience and everything that encompasses being human, flawed and all, like I think that is so needed. And I'm so glad that you're here speaking with us now.
Thank you so much. And I want to say too, that was actually one of my biggest, like, I guess, pain points around like becoming a health coach, right? Because it's like so many of these health coach types, it's like they have the answer. They cured their thing now. So, do my course because I can help you fix your thing, and then you won't be sick anymore. I was like, I didn't have that to offer, unfortunately. And so I had to like come into this space of like, I can still be this paradox of like going through the chronic illness, going through the depression and the anxiety, like going through all of those things, and not being like Mrs. Fix It, but more about, okay, like the human experience is always going to have this different, like varying degrees of it, but it's really, I'm here trying to help people just like live easier and better, like.
For you, when did you make the decision of, what, actually, my chronic illness is not something that I'm going to hide. It's not something that I'm going to see as a negative. It's part of becoming whole, and it's helping me respond to what my soul is like calling me to do. Like there's so much pressure to hide the pain points unless you're trying to like sell something.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So this is a very collective theme, like I recognize the experience that I'm having. And at the same time, I also know that I am part of a whole, like of a collective that is all going through this experience as a human. And it comes down to like this age, like this time that we've all chosen to incarnate into on this planet. And it's about the whole entire theme, like truly is about becoming whole. Like whether you want to call it the age of Aquarius or the age of Ascension, the whole theme of Ascension and of the age of Aquarius is we're healing that like sense of separation, and coming into wholeness, and coming into like unity, and coming into this like cosmic consciousness kind of thing. And or also I like to think of it as like escape the matrix, because the matrix is what is pushing this illusion on us of like separation and fragmentation. So like our souls, like collectively, each and every one of us is yearning to return to that wholeness and to like remember in our actual selves what it is to like be free of suffering and to be in this, to just be free as ourselves, in ourselves, and to be able to be in the world, or like the world that we live in, essentially, like, creating heaven on earth. I don't think it's irrational at all. However, everything that we see around us right now is an indication of the fact that we have work to do.
Yeah.
And, they say that, like, be the change you wish to see in the world. Nothing changes in our reality until we change ourselves. And that is how you get to do like the great work. And that's how you get to be a revolutionary, is by turning inwards and starting to do that like adventure of becoming whole. And so I say like chronic illness is the spiritual initiation you didn't ask for. Like, because it's you're kind of being forced into it, unfortunately. Like your body's like, look, I'm taking the reins. And I'm sorry that you were having a good time, but I just have things to do.
I do apologize for this inconvenience that you're going to have to
Yeah.
face for the rest of your life. So let's talk about trauma a little bit,
Mm,
because the shadow work part of this, everybody.
yes.
I mean, we have to talk about it. You're literally a shadow worker and healer.
Yes.
So let's talk about trauma creating a sense of separation from your true self, like our
Mhm.
body, the soul. Like how can you recognize and reconnect from your experience?
All right. So now we're talking. Um, so as I was saying, this whole like there's like this illusion of separation.
Yes.
Um, like separation is the root of suffering, but that separation is an illusion. And what causes the illusion is the trauma, the traumatic experiences of our life. And it could be from past lives. It could be the trauma of being born. It's whatever happened in your childhood and as a young adult. Stack them all up. Those experiences, traumatic experiences, big or small, eradicated that sense of trust from with the world, with the divine, and with yourself. So you can always take any sort of traumatic experience and you can see this severed my trust with people, things, places, or myself. And we are not given the tools in society in order to heal trauma, in order to figure out how to integrate and navigate out of this so that we don't have to carry this sense of mistrust with us our whole lives. And so my job is to bring the tools necessary in order to help shift out of that trauma state and bring that trust back online, that trust in yourself, trust in divine. And if you trust yourself and you trust the divine, you're able to trust the world. You're able to trust the environment that you live in because you're like, I got me, source has got me. And my approach is, like I said, I love science and spirituality together. So it's biological, emotional, and spiritual. And so here's how I have these three pillars of working through this. The first is from a biological, is like the nutrition and nervous system safety, right? Because not feeling safe in our bodies, a lot of the time, it comes down to like actual hormones and chemicals in our body that are signaling not being safe. And so there's a remedy for that with nutrition and like somatics and stuff. And then there's the emotional aspect of it, which is where you start getting into more of that like shadow work stuff. And it's also continuing with the biological and emotional qualities. It's like doing somatics, doing these like nervous system regulation practices that help you to be more resilient. And the more you start to do these practices, you start to train your body to recognize that it's actually safe and it doesn't have to keep like looping these programs of like trying to protect you all the time. Like, hey, guess what? The threat is actually gone, and the threat happened 10 years ago. So like, we're okay. And the last part is the like radical self-reclamation through shadow work. And that is where I created sonic shadow work, because it's about using how you can combine like the biological, emotional, and spiritual all together by dancing, listening to amazing music, and working through all of those stuck energies that are in the body that are looping you and keeping you in that trauma state. Like that's my toolbox, is like address biological, emotional, and then that's a spiritual, and make sure we get into like the dark, nasty stuff that most people don't. And with my sonic shadow work method, it's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we all love like twerking while washing dishes or something, right? Like, no matter how much yoga or positive affirmations you do, like you still kind of feel crappy, but then you play a song and you're like having a great time, and you're like, wow, I actually forgot about my problems.
I love that. What are some signals that you have learned as a professional that come up with you, with your clients, when their bodies are trying to send them a message?
All right. So I kind of think everything is a message. We just don't necessarily understand it. Like, so I like to say, like, I help to start learning how to decode the language of your body and like decode those messages. And it's going to be different for everyone, but what it comes down to is that finding that stillness or going inwards and actually just learning to listen. Because it's so easy for us to like use our mind to try to approach healing. And so we're like, hey, what's the answer? What's the answer? What I've learned is that as we start to go more into the body, we're able to also then start to tell our body and signal back to our body, hey, I'm here and I'm listening and I'm present with you now. And it actually like comes down as simple as, when you have a certain symptom, you can sit and you can talk to that symptom specifically. You can be like, okay, here's where I feel you. Do you have a message for me? What do I need to know? How can we start building trust with each other? Sometimes it's not gonna give you the message because it doesn't trust you. It's like, no, you never listen, you know. But this is the consistency part of showing up for yourself, building that self-love, self-presence. Then your body will eventually start to speak to you and be like, really, just like, will you go get a massage, please? Or stop texting so and so and dance, or whatever, like however it shows up. It's different for everyone. And this actually starts to help you to develop like your psychic skills.
Yes.
Some people have clairaudience, and so they'll see or they'll like hear the message, or other people will see like an image of what is needed. And other people will just like feel the sensation and be like, oh yeah, okay, it's that. I need to go get a massage or go be in hot springs or something. So building this relationship with your body and actually just learning to dialogue with your symptoms, with your illness, with whatever it is you're feeling, is part of that like becoming whole, because I believe inherently all human beings are super powerful, super psychic, epic creatures. And that illusion of separation is what has made it so that we're not able to have these abilities to understand these languages of our body.
It's hard to take time to even connect with your body when the world
Mhm.
that you're born in is so of the mind and
Yeah.
rewards productivity of the mind.
I mean, I'm really just now learning how to begin to sink into my body. Like, I have been a floating head my whole life, like a floating head with a hamster wheel. I'm like, have no idea like what it meant to be in my body. And that I truly believe was the call of, okay, now you're going to be in extreme physical pain and you're going to experience a degenerative disease and you're even going to become immobile because the lesson you need to learn is about being mobile, being in your body, moving your body. Like it's kind of a like messed up, backwards, kind of tricky thing, but I'm starting to understand like the language is can be like annoyingly like backwards. Like I'm gonna make you not able to be a professional dancer anymore so that you can learn what it actually means to be a dancer. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's such a journey home, and there's so many layers. You know, in all honesty, it will be a lifetime of this journey, but it's also the most rewarding thing that you can do with your like entire existence. So
Yes.
we go through like the why me? What did I do to deserve this phase? Like you have to go through that phase, and then eventually it becomes like not a victim thing so much as like a curiosity thing of like, okay, well, why me? Why is this happening? And I've had to like face this other aspect of myself of like, well, what if none of it means anything and none of it matters? And like,
Yeah.
I also have to, like, that's the shadow work. It's like, what if I am focusing so much on the meaning because that's the only way that I will be able to cope? And that's okay. Like, that's perfectly okay. Like, if we're just assigning meaning in order to like make it through, then that's okay too. And so be it. There can be a lot of also relief to not trying so hard to find the meaning as much as allowing allowing the experience itself to have meaning. And I really hope that makes sense.
Makes so
Like
much
it's out of just get out of your head and go into your body. And
Yeah. Why don't we
yeah.
kind of just share a little bit about how you like your beliefs around the metaphysical bodies and
Mhm.
how you have come integrated that into your practice.
Yes, this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. You know, in this world, we pretty much just focus on the physical body and like maybe a little bit on the mental, emotional. But we have 7 bodies. The first, of course, is the physical body. It's what you can touch, right? And they go outwards kind of like in layers. The next body after the physical body is called the etheric body. The etheric body is this animating force. It's, you know, called chi in some spiritual thoughts, but it's the energy force that moves through us. And that's what goes away when you pass away. So then after the etheric body, we have the emotional body. So these are all going out. And people who are able to like read auras, they're able to like see these different layers of your body. But then after the emotional body is the mental body. And the mental body is also called the astral body. So some people who hear about, you know, like astral projection or who are familiar with astral projection, that's using the mental body to navigate and travel in and out of the body and also into the dream time. And then after the mental body is something that's very interesting. This is when it starts to get a little more meta, is called the causal body. The causal body, I think of it as it's like the space that holds like karma or like the seeds or like certain kinds of contracts and experiences that your soul has agreed to. And I'll explain this a little bit more in depth in a second. But after the causal body is then the Buddhic body and the Atmic body. Those bodies are like the Buddhic body is your higher self, and the Atmic body is like the God essence, consciousness. So we are connected to God through the Atmic, through the Buddhic, you know, going down. Each of these bodies is more like going from the Atmic all the way to the physical, they grow in density, like from a frequency perspective. Here's why this is really important to know. I'm going to give an example. Let's say that your higher self came into a contract with the higher self of another being who ends up being like your like romantic partner in this life. And let's say you had a contract for some sort of emotional kind of abuse or like, gaslighting or some sort of dissonant thing. So that contract came into presence from the Buddhic bodies, the souls, the higher souls. And that contract was seeded into your causal body. It's where the program is, or the karma is, or where like ancestral trauma might be sitting. And when I see these, I see them as like splinters or shards. They're like these sharp implantations in the causal body. And they live there for a little while. But if they are not resolved, the density increases and it travels from the causal body into the mental and emotional, and then eventually the physical body. People with psychic abilities or shamans or witch doctors, they have the ability to see in like your causal body or your mental and emotional body these shards or these splinters, and they can do like energetic clearings to pull it out. But if that's not something that you have access to and you don't know it's there, what it does is it increases in density, and that splinter will go farther in and start to create a mental, like a belief that you have about yourself. So then there's this belief that's festering. You don't know where it came from, but you just have this belief, right? And it came from this relationship that you had a soul contract to come into. And then that belief turns into this like emotional thing. Like all of a sudden it's like something that just wants to be released, and it's causing anxiety, and it's causing this like feeling of wanting to cry all the time, but you won't let yourself cry. And so then all of a sudden, because you're not letting yourself cry, that frequency gains even more density, and it goes all the way into the etheric and physical bodies, because if it's not being resolved out here, the only way that it can gain and notice and attention for resolution is by becoming physical. So now it's become a lump in your throat, or it's become thyroid issues because of this, maybe like not speaking your truth in the relationship, or silencing yourself to not anger your partner, right? I hope you guys are tracking this path that can happen from the highest, most spiritual realms all the way into these physical manifestations. And it can be something like seasonal allergies or a food intolerance. It's so common in like Western medicine practices for these things to just like be part of life. Like, oh, well, there's no reason for it. It just is something that we experience. It's like, genuinely, I promise you there's a reason. There's always a reason for it. So that's the metaphysical bodies. And when something becomes a physical symptom, there's like a cord that's attached to that like barb that's gone all the way into the physicality. So when you start to work on the emotional and the spiritual aspects of it, it starts to pull it back out again. Like it starts to reel it back in, and eventually you become no longer afflicted by that barb, by that splinter that is affecting like your entire being.
I loved the way you explained it, because I think a lot of people can picture like an aurograph, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that like helps with the visualization. And even in like Ren was saying, like in pranic healing, they check like the energy levels of aura around the body in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
She did have a question. Is the Akasha where the contracts are kept?
Yeah, I guess the term could be the Akashic, the Akashic records, because something that I've helped clients do is I'm able to like lead a guided soul like contract clearing. So what you're able to do is actually just go into like a very gentle, like internal state of meditation, visualization, and you can reach out to and engage with the soul or higher self of a person that you wish to clear contracts with. And when you reach out to them and you engage with their higher self, then you say, okay, like, I guess at this point you would be talking to the Akasha. like show me the contracts that exist between us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, you might see it on like a stone tablet, or you might see a scroll, or, you know, a notebook or whatever. But then you're able to look at that contract and actively choose to like stamp it, cancel it, and then return the energies to each other that have been like, I guess, like intermeshed. So you take back your energy and they take back theirs, and a lot of times you'll actually see it represented as like a gift of some sort. Like they'll give you back like an apple. Like, okay, like I'm like, I don't know what this means, but so yeah, I can imagine that that's like the language that the Akasha um is speaking to you. It's kind of like being in a dream state.
Ren said that she was like, I have always had great health until after my spiritual awakening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happens. It's like, oh, wait a second. You're basically like you're going through your life and you're just like having a great time, and then but you didn't realize that you weren't doing the spiritual work. Like you thought maybe you were, but like you weren't. And then you just you get forced into it. You get forced into it, unfortunately.
So, as we get towards the end, what are some
Mhm,
tools or practices that have been the most helpful for you when
mhm.
processing everything you've gone through and like stepping into reclaiming your path, your
Yes.
body, your magic, all of it?
Yes. Okay. So this is I'm coming back to the sonic shadow work, the somatic. This is why I call myself a somatic DJ, somatic medicine DJ, because the ultimate tool is using music, especially like bass heavy dance music, to move your body and to start to build that relationship with your body. Here is why it's so important. I actually just started a YouTube channel, and I have a video on my new YouTube channel explaining this in more depth. So because I don't have time to explain it, it would be great for you guys to watch this. But essentially, music bypasses the logical brain and goes into the subconscious mind and where the emotional body is. And so it's your logical mind that is protecting you from like the trauma and all of the stuck emotions that you have in your body. It's your logical mind that's like keeping you dissociated and guarded all the time, right? And so what happens is the music, when you start to move and dance, the music is going into those parts of the body, the emotional aspects, and it's holding you. It's creating safety. Because as you're starting to move and the base, like it's stimulating the vagus nerve, it's signaling safety, and it's also this like sense of structure that's able to, you know, it's predictable because you know, like there's the rhythm. We got the rhythm. This is like my heartbeat. I got this. We can do this. And then there's a beginning, middle, and end. And when it's over, like you can just be done with it. And it's so important to say too that like animals in the wild, like an antelope running away from a lion, when it gets away successfully, it has an actual ceremony of shaking his body from head to toe in order to clear all the adrenaline and those like trauma stress hormones out of the body so that it can, you know, see another happy day on the safari, like munching grass. And it's not like traumatized. It's, you know, like it's just like, hey, we're gonna live another day. And as humans, like we don't do that. But we have the term shake it off, and like that's literal. Like you have to shake it out in order to complete the cycle. So this is the most useful tool for, you know, all the dimensions of healing from the physical, the emotional, and then the spiritual and the shadow work, and getting into the trauma healing and the inner child work. Like all of those things are accessed by moving your body and listening to really awesome music. And that's why I said it can be approachable and it can even be fun, you know, like shadow work and trauma healing. Like nobody wants to do that. But I beg to differ. Like when you have a really good song to listen to help you through it, like then you start to crave it. Then your body's like, oh my gosh, I need to do some of that.
Yeah. I love adding a healthy routine.
Yeah,
Rinse,
it's self-care.
self
Shaking it
care.
is self-care.
share with us how they can find you, what offers you have, and everything, how they can connect with you other than YouTube.
So yeah, so the Instagram is a good way to just like get in touch with me. Basically, I'm just in the space right now of like really wanting to build community and start to share my music offers. I have a little secondary channel that I just now started as well, where I'm going to start to share my DJ mixes for doing this sonic shadow work. Basically, just come find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube, and there's going to start being I think every Saturday, I'm going to start doing a live, just calling it shadow chats, just a live for people to come hang out and start to talk about basically all of the multidimensional qualities of being a human and like just the stuff that we really need to talk about and that I'm not really seeing anybody else talking about a lot. So yeah, that's my offering right now is like good music and some good educational information and hopefully building community. Yay!
Oh.
I'm so excited.
Oh, Shauna, it was so great having you. Like, literally brought me to tears. Thank you
Oh.
so much for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, please show your support by hitting like and subscribe, and check the description below for more ways to connect with me, including my music channel and healing dance playlists. Also, make sure to explore Samantha's amazing work as well. Thank you for being here, and I'm sending you love on your healing path.